OpTic Gaming is one of the biggest esports brands in the world. If you've been following them since the early COD days or a big fan of Power of Evil, OpTic Gaming might be the team for you. OpTic Gaming was founded in 2006 with a group of friends to start competing in Call of Duty. As Hex became the owner in the early days of OpTic Gaming, he grew their YouTube channel as the dominant sniping team in Call of Duty. This blew up their brand and their channel. Next, Hex looked into building their competitive team and eventually in 2010 competed with their famous player Nadeshot to start their huge esports success. The rest of the story involves highs and lows in the COD scene, but eventually they jumped into other games which include CSGO, Halo, Gears of War, Overwatch, Dota 2, and now they're taking their shot at League of Legends. Now for their rosters, we start in the top lane, Zig. Zig is one of the few players to get picked up from a collegiate team, as he was once on Robert Morris University's League of Legends team until he got picked up to be in the LCS to debut on Phoenix 1. He is known to be one of the best Kleds, so we hope to see this split on OpTic Gaming. Now in the jungle, we have Acadian. Previously a jungler on Echo Fox, Acadian was known to be a really good rookie on a not so good team. We have seen glimpses of glory, so it will be extremely exciting to see if he'll be able to flex his muscles on his competition. In addition, with the help of OpTic Gaming's branding experience and production staff, I expect to see a lot from Acadian as he previously tried to create his own content for his YouTube channel. Now in the mid lane, we have Power of Evil. Power of Evil is another European mid laner that has been imported to come over to North America. This will be his first season in North America and will be bringing tough competition to the region, as he's consistently been giving Bjergsen a tough time in any matchup on the international stage. With his recent success this past Worlds, Power of Evil is definitely going to be a threat in the mid lane. In the AD carry role, we have Arrow. Arrow is a Korean import that was voted MVP for Spring Split 2017. Yes, he's got the mechanics, but he's also got quite the personality. He sports goofy looking hair, sings in front of the camera, and is willing to fire shots on Twitter, trolling fans and haters alike. Even with a roster that hasn't played together in the past, you can still expect to see great performances from Arrow as he's proven self-sufficient on his time with Phoenix 1. To round out the roster, we have the coach Zabutin. Zabutin was a French shoutcaster and analyst for OGaming TV. This is his big break for his chance to shine and make a name for himself as a rookie coach. Alright, with all of that history with OpTic Gaming, Manny, why are we going to be a fan of OpTic Gaming?
I think the main reason is if you want to get into League and you've watched esports in other games, you might have heard of OpTic Gaming.
Maybe.
If you haven't, you've been living under a rock, plain and simple. I mean, I think they're one of the most renowned esports franchises competing against TSM. I think it is close, but it definitely is competing in terms of whole esports. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you want to get into League, or if you want to be like, oh, I remember my Halo days, you have that nostalgic feel, I think OpTic Gaming might be just the right choice. Yeah, really, really good. If from the history, Hex built the brand from their YouTube channel, making like a sniping team and making montages. That's really cool. And that has not stopped. One of the things I love about this team is that, or this brand, I should say, is that they have a lot of production and content behind them. If you look at someone like Team Liquid, they had 1UP Studios behind them and they put out just amazing stuff. Same thing with these guys. Hex, if you look at the CEO, he is always on his YouTube channel, like putting up vlogs that he edits himself. That's really cool. He's engaged with his fan and making content, whether you want to hear about his day or not, or if like there's something that's good for that day that could be really interesting, then that's perfect for you. Then if you want to go into their players and their org and all the other stuff that they're doing, there's so much being produced and content being put out by this organization that it's incredible, and I'm so excited to get to know like just the people behind the green wall at OpTic Gaming and their roster, especially with League of Legends. Yeah, I mean, I think also mentioning the green wall, just the fandom. Mm-hmm. If you already want an established team that has a lot of fans and you can talk about them within other games and be like, oh, you guys should maybe like start following. Like they have very devoted fans, like they are like kind of like the diehard fans of the esports world. Again, there's just so many games you kind of like will have that. And then with that in mind, like the perfect bridge of that, like content, team, fans, is Romain.
Ooh.
Romain, from Unicorns of Love, if you recall him, shirtless guy, usually pink hair, super muscular, like super toned.
Manny, calm down there.
He's amazing. No, I think it's just like he's such an awesome person. I think he became such a well-known person in EU, and like they'll miss him, but we get him, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's crazy. This guy is a genius. At first it just seemed like, what are they doing? This is funny, but like, I think he knew the consumers. He knows that a lot of people watching the LCS and stuff like that are younger players, and he was very entertaining, boisterous, loud. He would be able to like trash talk and like get in people's faces that NA versus great or EU greater than NA stuff that he's been doing. And the cool thing about it is it wasn't really cheesy. And it was actually really entertaining and done well. And it was fun. Like, I was suddenly like, oh my gosh, I like want to see what he's going to be wearing or if he's wearing anything. And like, just like what he's going to do, And he brings a lot of that marketing and idea and just like thoughtfulness and professionalism that's behind the scenes of like the personality that he is into North America, into OpTic Gaming. And with that production staff and content creation, like, oh my gosh, we're going to get to know OpTic Gaming. We're going to get to know the players, I'm sure, a lot more because of Romain. And
yeah, for sure.
Speaking about the players, probably the biggest, spiciest thing that happened. Well, maybe not spiciest thing that happened in the preseason, but there's definitely a lot of drama around it. Power of Evil coming over from Europe, his beloved European fans and everything, all the way to North America. What do we have to say about Power of Evil?
I think, first of all, now people have been calling him Power of Euro. I think it was like the right one. Yeah, that dinero. I mean, I respect this guy. I think he has had like interesting, like come around, like he was part of Origin for a while and Origin was struggling. And then in Misfits, he kind of like started finding his groove and was just, he's a very creative player. I hate the builds he does, but they work, and I'm just like, I no,
they're genius.
Few games.
Yeah.
This guy is really smart. He proved himself. He's been known to like be able to just completely dominate Bjergsen. So I think the mid laners in NA have to be watching out, which there are a lot of good ones. So it's going to be interesting how he does within his teams and within like just readjusting to a new play style.
Yeah, absolutely. And this guy is definitely like outwardly spoken. There was a lot of flack for what he said, but I appreciate that. He kind of worded it poorly. He might have wanted to have someone read over his tweet longer or whatever it was, his statement about coming over to NA. But I respect that. I respect someone that is willing to make a mistake and just say kind of what's on his mind and apologize for it later. I definitely don't think he's like just some like rude dude or anything like that. I think he's legit, and it was misspoken and kind of poorly worded. And I want to see that more in the scene where people are just willing to talk and say things.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, talk about saying things. Some people might be wondering about, hey, Saboutine, we don't really know much about him as a coach. I think it's interesting. I love seeing like rookie coaches and how they handle situations, because coaching is a pretty difficult art in a sense. But someone that's going to be able to help him with that is Lemonation.
Oh,
right. It's sad to see Lemonation finally be separated from High, like fully, but I think Lemon, he's the one that kind of like started this trend of, hey, let me write down picks and bans and exactly what we want to do and write down strategies. He was kind of like that player coach when that started, and now that teams have to have coaches, I think he might be a good resource for the team.
Absolutely.
As a veteran. That's been in the scene for a while. He's one of the oldest or one of the older players for sure. And I think it's just really interesting to see this and see his personality, maybe his leadership even come through and help the team.
Yeah, as an older player myself, he is 5 days younger than me, so I got 5 days on him. That being said, I like that. Unfortunately, I hope that OpTic is going to pump out more content about Lemonation, because he doesn't really, he's not on social media a ton and stuff like that. He has to pretty much now, and I'm sure of it. And it's cool to see like us oldies in the esports industry like still performing, and it's really cool because for us he's a lot more relatable than maybe like the 16-year-old that's trash talking and eating Tide Pods because that's a thing now, stupid things like that. So that's really cool to see an older presence there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think again, the fact that you said that we don't know much about him, I think the only reason he did the Drive episode was because Riot flew out his family for the episode.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's something he really wanted to do. I mean, he is an interesting guy, though. I mean, we want to see more of him, and hopefully we will get to see more of him. And with that in mind, like, again, this has such a renowned, like, known organization, and it's awesome. And they already have rivals.
Hey,
right?
yeah.
I think they have rivals. I mean, it's also a new team, 100 Thieves. If you've been part of like the COD scene, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Like you've seen like the 100 Thieves versus OpTic. That's kind of like heated. I mean, Nate Shot, huge personality. Anyway, like I'm excited for it because having just rivalries transfer over, I hope will have a huge impact on the scene.
Oh yeah, and you're like, hey, I love Lemonation. I don't know who anyone in here is yet. But then when you see that Riot puts out like this like rivalry teaser about OpTic and Nadeshot with 100 Thieves, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so hyped. Having something to get excited about, having a rivalry right off the bat is so pumped. That's why, like, even though for years before TSM and CLG, they're like the biggest rivalry ever, CLG wasn't performing and it just wasn't really fun anymore, even though they kept kind of pushing it. Like that's why people still got hyped about TSM versus CLG, because it's a rivalry and it means something. OpTic Gaming versus 100 Thieves. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know these teams that well. I don't know Nadeshot. I don't know the COD scene. I'm going to watch this game, whether I like care about the players or not, just because of that rivalry. So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, some people, again, might be like, oh, this is kind of like the most random set of players. They're no rookies in the main team.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all a little bit known at least. It's going to be interesting. I think, we will give power rankings and stuff in a later episode, but I think it's going to be nice and refreshing, right? To see like these new players with this new team. And like with that in mind, quick scope the rest of the league and be a fan of OpTic Gaming.